Picture this. It's a close game of Valorant and you're clawing your way back into a huge comeback victory. Emotions are high and you just hit an insane shot to keep the man advantage. You feel on top of the world and you're about to tell that trash-talking Reyna to stay hard stuck. What do you do next? You wide swing the last player and give him a 1v1, and then he ends up clutching and winning the game. Your teammates are pissed, but more importantly, you're pissed at yourself, and you go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and ask, bruh, why are you like this? You might not have an answer, but luckily I do. You're just a hot steaming pile of garbage. What's up, ProGuides fam? It's your boy Royal G, and today we're going to talk about bad habits, how to break them, and how to create better ones so you don't end up having an existential crisis after your games. Oh, and I was just kidding about losing there. We were up 12-4 and my Omen got her after. I'm Radiant too, so I would never screw up like that, right? There's no way I would get mad at a video game, right? What am I, a kid? It's a video game. Who even gets mad at a video game? Alright, let's get into it. So, just to give a sort of structure to this video, we're going to talk about three main strategies to combat bad habits. Breaking bad habits, overriding a bad habit with good habits, and avoiding bad habits in general. Each of these strategies are viable for reducing bad habits, but you probably clicked this video because you have some bad habits that you want to fix. So for our question of the day, let me know in the comments what your worst habit is and maybe someone can give you specific ideas on how to break them. The first thing we have to talk about when we think of breaking bad habits is how they appear in your gameplay. Whether it's a tendency to commit to a spray or to peek angles poorly, there's usually a mix of reasons why you do it in the first place, like tilt, pressure in a game, bad practice, and so on. Being aware of what's causing your bad habits is typically the first part to breaking the bad habit. You know how Phoenix always runs it down in every Valorant cinematic, and it always turns out pretty badly for him? Well, you'd think that after the first 2 times, he'd learn from his mistakes, but no. In Duality, he runs it down again when the spike wasn't even planted for the enemy Phoenix. Like, come on man, get it together. Anyways, if you can't become aware of what you're doing wrong, as well as what's causing it, then it's hard for you to fix it as well. You could be running in circles trying to learn to burst instead of spray, when your real issue is that you're swinging into 5 guys and trying to get a TikTok clip, and that's making you resort to spraying immediately. It's hard to say, but the first part of breaking bad habits is usually up to you, or someone more experienced who can view your gameplay. And I know, you guys are gonna say, here comes Royal with his usual ProGuides coaching shoutout, but hey, I wouldn't recommend this if it wasn't going to help you 100% of the time, 99% of the time. So if you want a Radiant or Immortal coach who can help you find out your bad habits and fix them with you, then head over to ProGuides.com where we've got exactly these guys available 24/7 ready to take you to the next level. Coaching can help anyone, whether you're a beginner or a veteran, so come give us a visit if you're trying to make the rank climb a whole lot easier for you this coming act. So now that we have the basic requirements of self-awareness out of the way, let's head into our first strategy, which is to break a bad habit. Full disclaimer here, once you watch the whole video and learn all 3 methods, you'll likely never be using only one strategy, so keep that in mind as we cover the first one. Breaking a bad habit is sort of like not queuing up again after losing a tilting game. 1, it's hard to do, 2, you know you want to do it, and 3, you also realize it's best for you not to go for another round. This usually takes quite a bit of self-control, so it's better to do this when you're feeling refreshed and ready rather than to think about this after you're mentally exhausted. But basically, to straight up break a bad habit, you have to take the bull by the horns and wrestle it down with sheer willpower. That means if you feel the urge to spray or crouch in game, you have to catch yourself in the act and either stop yourself or realize immediately that you screwed up. Regardless of the outcome, if you can recognize that you're making a mistake and you're actively trying to combat it, then you're getting closer to fixing that mistake. Sounds easy, right? Here's the catch. Doing this usually takes a lot of mental energy and forces you to focus on yourself rather than how to beat your opponent. So a lot of times, people who try this method will catch themselves in the act, but end up losing a fight because they broke their own flow. This leads to tilt, making it less likely that the next fight they take will be disciplined, and also making you not want to fix that habit because you lost the fight anyways. When fixing the habit becomes a matter of principle rather than for practical success, then it becomes a lot harder to do. After all, if I'm gonna lose either way, then why should I fix this? This is a trap that makes it very hard to actually break habits, and most likely why some of you guys are having trouble fixing your habits currently. So how do we avoid this? Well, first of all, here's some ground rules for breaking habits. Number 1, you do not talk about Fight Club. Wrong list? My bad. Number 1, don't try to break a habit when you're mentally exhausted. Not only will trying to do so make you fall into the trap I just mentioned, but it will also put you at risk of creating other bad habits in the process. Number 2, think only about how breaking the habit will help you. If you have to constantly wrestle with the pros and cons of breaking a habit, you're just shooting yourself in the foot and making it much harder to commit mentally to fixing it. So don't think about the trade-offs and focus instead on the benefits of breaking that habit. And number 3, don't expect change instantly. This one is really important because one of the biggest killers is that people expect their habits to fix in the span of like a game or 2 death matches. Like, fixing a bad habit is not that elegant. So if you don't see change immediately, don't worry about it. We're all in the same boat and you're not inherently flawed as a player. Be patient with yourself and trust the process. These are 3 rules I think are crucial for you to follow if you want to break a habit successfully, but of course, use what works for you. Breaking a habit is usually the most brute force and direct method to solving your problems, but it comes with its own set of mental demons that you have to conquer first. Now that we've talked about the habit breaking equivalent of walking up to the annoying guy at the bar and punching him in the face, let's consider more subtle ways to make that guy leave, like being even more annoying than he is. That is, to overwrite your bad habit with a different one. In our case, let's not try to fight fire with fire by overwriting a bad habit with another bad one. Instead, let's one-up a bad habit by creating a better one instead. If you have a bad habit that just won't go away and it shows up often in your gameplay, sometimes it's better to not fight it head on, but to subtly remove it by creating a different habit to replace it. For example, if I tend to spray too much with the Phantom, maybe I'll switch to the Vandal instead. Or if I peek too wide, I'll instead make a habit of jiggle peeking every angle I plan to fight first. That way, you'll slowly rely less on the old habit and your new habit will replace the old one over time. So why does this work? By creating a different habit to overwrite your current bad habit, you achieve a few things. First of all, you practice a habit that counters your current one, which rounds out your gameplay. Secondly, you remove the need to rely on your old habit, which naturally means the habit will slowly fade away or become less useful. And third, assuming that the habit is a good one, you're more focused on making a good habit rather than breaking a bad one, which is much more fun. The reason, in my opinion, that's the case is because when you're breaking a bad habit, you're trying to fix something, which is like paying off a debt. While if you're making a good habit, you're not thinking about paying off a debt, but making more money, which naturally pays off the debts. This is a mental effect that is often overlooked and actually really helpful. There's a few other reasons why this method works, but I think you guys get the point. So if you can't seem to break a habit the direct way, you can always take the indirect route and slowly remove it by overwriting the save file. And for the final method, this is one of those methods that you should always aim to practice, but is usually the most effective when you're not forced to deal with a ton of bad habits already. That is, to avoid bad habit making behaviors. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. If you don't want bad habits, just don't make one. The best way to deal with a cold isn't to take Tylenol and rest up, but to just not get it in the first place, right? Sounds awfully simple, but it's true. Why else do you think pros don't enjoy playing ranked other than the fact that it's not fun, you play with horrible teammates, no one communicates, and there's no structure at all? Yep, you guessed it, you create bad habits for pro play. And what's the single best way to never make bad habits in Valorant? That's right, just don't play the game. All jokes aside, to avoid bad habits in games, there's a few things you can do. First of all, always practice with purpose. If you practice with an idea of what you want to achieve, like breaking a bad habit, making a better one, or just improving on a skill, you'll be a lot less likely to create bad habits because you're focused on doing things properly. Secondly, don't play while tilted or mentally exhausted. One of the best ways to create bad habits without even knowing it is to play while tilted, because you're not focused on playing well, but just to play. Typically when you're tilted, it's much easier for a bad decision to become normalized by how little fun you're having in game, or how your teammates are making dumb plays or whatever. Try to fix the habit of playing when tilted because it only makes you lose control of yourself. So whether you have to forcefully close the game or find another game that you enjoy playing as well, do something that can take away from the pain of ranked so that you can enter the next time feeling refreshed and ready to rank up and improve. Anyways, that's my rant on why you guys need to stop griefing my games. I mean, how to fix bad habits and create good ones. Let me know if this helped you and any other specific things you want me to cover in future videos. It's been Royal G, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.